Bante, the three characteristics, how do you teach that in your meditation, for example? How do you address the three characteristics?
I like the interpretation of Ledi Sayadaw. Ledi Sayadaw teaches the three characteristics on two levels. So there's the conceptual level of three characteristics, and there's the ultimate level of three characteristics. The conceptual level of three characteristics, like impermanence, is that we know that we get old, so that's impermanent. We know that things that we have get broken, they get old, or we die, or things get broken, or we lose things, or things start and they end. So that's the conceptual level of impermanence. The same way suffering. Okay, so because things are not reliable, then they are not satisfactory. So because things get old, things get lost, our body gets old, our body gets ill and diseases, and we die and so on, then that is unsatisfactory. And in that manner, it is also not self, because we do not really have control. We don't have power. There is nothing that we could manipulate in terms of I decide it will be like this, and then it will be like this. So if I'm getting old, I cannot decide, so I will be younger. Cannot. Or who will decide that? So is it the brain that decides it, or the heart that decides it, or what is it that decides it? You see, it's all conceptual. This conceptual altogether, that's what we take as self, but even conceptually, actually, we can see that we do not have the power. We can see, for example, we have a disease, and I want to be healthy, but there is no really healthy I, because the healthy I is gone, and now there is unhealthy I, unhealthy body. Or the happy I, happy mind is gone, and now there is unhappy mind. Okay? So this is on the conceptual level. And you don't have to be a Buddhist to understand these impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self on conceptual level. Then Ledi Sayadaw explains the ultimate level, the absolute level. And for absolute level of impermanence, we need to observe the body and the mind very carefully, so that we gradually see that the mind consists of arising, passing moments of consciousness. Only when you can see the arising, passing moments of consciousness, that's where you really see impermanence on the ultimate level. And then the remaining two characteristics, of course, are based on this understanding. So then you see, so everything that we know that we are is made up of these moments that arise and are totally destroyed. So every moment is new, and the past moments are gone. Most of what is our pride and happiness and satisfaction is based on our memory. Now this one destroys that all, because we say it is gone. So whatever I was before this moment, it's actually destroyed, and I cannot take it back. Whatever I take back, I actually recreate based on the conditions that allow me to recreate. For example, if I have Alzheimer's, or if I have some other disease that destroys my memory, well then I cannot recreate it again. You see? But if I do not have that disease, then I can recreate it, you see? So I'm dependent on a condition. Who has power over that condition? Nobody. How do I have the power over not forgetting or forgetting? I don't have it. Okay? I either forget or not. So, and many people remember things that did not happen, and many people do not remember things that happen. So you see, the problem with memory is big. But we are enough clever to delude ourselves, to believe that we are actually taking back the memory, instead of understanding that we just recreate it based on the available conditions. So understanding that all of me are these moments that are destroyed every moment, and that everything is gone, and everything that I will get will be entirely gone as well, there arises some ethical benefits, but let's go to the unsatisfactoriness point. So there arises the understanding that there is nothing worth it. There is nothing worthy of hankering after that. There is nothing worthy of being angry about, nothing worthy of greed, because it's destroyed. And there is nothing I can take after that being destroyed. So that's the unsatisfactoriness. And then the not self is obvious from the previous two. So because there is nothing that would last more than 2 moments, there of course cannot be a self that would be reliable, that would be long lasting, that I could control. There is neither me nor something that could be controlled. None of the two main conditions for controlling is there. So either there should be me or there should be something else that's controlled. Ideally, of course, there's both. Somebody who controls, something to be controlled, and the controlling. But there is none of that. There is neither me who controls, nor that could be controlled, and therefore there is no controlling. No power. Nothing. And through this understanding of no power, of powerlessness, of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self, the person is liberated from all greed, hatred, ignorance.
What about if it's there's disliking? So there's like anger or hate or disliking, but it's from a memory. So it's something that comes up, and you know better. Like it's not worth clinging on to not liking this, but it's just from habit.
Mm.
Like there's an aversion to like a certain sound or like a certain food. It feels like it's like a loop, and because it's uncontrollable, it's just a habit, and it's so ingrained, it's like it feels stuck.
And what would you like to do with that?
Just experience it neutrally.
I see, okay. So in Sutta Nipata commentary, we distinguish 2 kinds of anger. Anger about a person or a living being, and anger about a non-living phenomena. So anger about a living person is unskillful. Anger about a non-living phenomena is understood as madness, because it's useless. Why would you be angry that it's hot or that it's cold? So it's hot, so turn on the fan, or it's cold, so take a blanket or something. No need to be angry about non-living phenomena. So our scriptures are taking this to a little bit of extreme. This is commentary, so that's how the great masters explain. So if you are angry about a non-living thing, that's just your craziness. This is your madness. So take up your mindfulness and continue practice. When it's anger with a living being, then that's something else. So you see, they are actually very different. If it's anger with a non-living being, it has nothing to do with anger. It is in fact restlessness. To have anger, you need to have ill will. Always anger is connected to ill will. So ill will means that you will ill to somebody else. You wish that somebody else suffers. And therefore, in anger, you actually have a living being and you wish that they suffer, either now or later, because of you, or because of somebody else, or because of their bad karma. For example, you wish them to be born in hell, or to be born as an animal, or to have less success. That wishing itself is ill will. That itself is anger. Even if they're, for example, somebody who orders others to kill, or who is unrighteous and so on, if you think, oh, this person is so bad, hopefully they will be born soon in hell, that also is ill will. Okay? So we do not wish even evil beings, even the result of their bad karma, which is pretty hard, because oftentimes you will learn that this is actually how you need to deal with people when you're angry with them. You think, well, you will suffer for your karma anyway, I don't need to do anything. But actually this thought, you will suffer for your evil deed, is actually ill will. But on a deeper level, of course. That's something you work on later. Usually people first need to stop their harming and bad words and so on. And when they have done that, then we can continue to a deeper level where they don't wish the evil person even the bad consequences for their action. That's a harder level. So always anger is related to a person. As soon as it is non-living thing, it's not really a matter of anger. That's your restlessness. That's your wish that things are different. Your disappointment that things are in a certain way, they should be other way. And with restlessness, therefore, you deal in a different way than how you deal with ill will. So number one remedy for ill will is loving kindness. How will loving kindness help you that it's hot or cold? It will not help you, you see. That's because ill will, anger, is related to living beings. What is the second remedy for ill will or anger? Deep practice on loving kindness. You see, so the first and second remedy, all of them are loving kindness. Then the third remedy for ill will, considering your karma, considering that if I harm the other person, that's bad karma for me. You see, again, we get anger as related to a living being. There is no bad karma if it's your possession, for example, your phone, and you destroy that phone. There is no bad karma for that. Zero bad karma. Okay, I mean, because the phone doesn't work, not because there's somebody who sent you a bad message. So if you break something that's yours, then that's not bad karma. No, but it's bad karma if you harm somebody. It's very different. Okay, so 5 remedies for ill will. Number 1, loving kindness. Number 2, intensive loving kindness practice. Number 3, considering karma effects of anger and of speech and action done by anger. Then having a good friend who inspires you in non-anger, and discussing with a good friend about non-anger. So these are 5 remedies for anger with a living being. If it is a non-living being, then that would be restlessness, and that's a different thing. For restlessness, restlessness has many meanings, and in this case, restlessness, more importantly, is about your doubt that you are not suitable for the practice, or that you are wrong, or that you are bad, or that you are not enough skillful, or do not have enough parami, or whatever else. So then for restlessness, you need to associate people who know the rules very well. You need to have a lot of knowledge. You need to have again a good friend, and again you need to speak with your good friend about Dhamma. There are 5 now, I remember just 4. So for restlessness, what helps a lot is to have somebody who explains to you why you don't have to be restless about that problem, whatever you did or whatever it is that you don't like. So to put it into equilibrium, what can help is the so-called patience. So how do we develop patience? We can develop patience first of all by mindfulness. But it seems that you will need to become an arahant to really have effective patience. Until somebody is an arahant, they still may experience physical problems on the body and in the mind. So in the sutta on Dart, Salla Sutta, there the Buddha explains that a person who is not an arahant experiences pain on the body and in the mind. So in the mind they are worried, oh, that's pain, that's bad for me, now I cannot walk, or now I cannot do this or that, and they're sad about the pain. So they experience the pain in the body and in the mind. Whereas an arahant experiences pain only in the body and not in the mind. Therefore, I'd say that even if you become a stream-enter, once returner, the first, second level of enlightenment, still you will have there some remorse or some disappointment with what happened to you in the past, or what did you do wrong in the past, or what are you doing wrong now, or what is happening to you now. There probably will be some disappointment, but it's good to see if you can put it into some benefit, turn it into some benefit. So see, okay, so now this place where I am, for example, you can think about your place. Is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? So if the place is unpleasant, if it is uncomfortable, you need to continue considering whether your practice develops or not. So if your practice does not develop, then the Buddha suggests you move to a different place. If your practice develops, but the place is uncomfortable, you still have to stay there. So it depends on the practice, not on whether you are happy with it or not. As for food, food needs to be suitable. So we have 7 things that are suitable. Avaso gocharo bhasan pukulo bhojanan utu iryapato tisaptete asapaya vivache. So according to Visuddhimagga, there are 7 things that you need to avoid and that are unsuitable. That means you need to make them suitable. Okay, so 7 things that you need to make suitable. What are they? Place to stay, place where you go for alms round, of course it's for monks. Then the kind of speech, the kind of topics you talk about, the people that you live with, food that you eat, then the posture in which you meditate, sitting, walking, standing, and so on. And then, I see, I've switched. So number 6 is the temperature, the weather, where you are, and then the posture. Okay, so how do you do that? It seems that you need to know your temperament. If you know whether you are angry temperament or faithful temperament or deluded temperament, that helps a lot in finding what's suitable, what's not, especially for the place to stay. So our scriptures suggest that greedy temperament should stay in an old, very simple place to stay. Because if they stay in a nice, beautiful place to stay, then they get too much attachment for the place and they will not practice enough. As for the angry temperament, it's the opposite. They should stay in a nice, beautiful, new dwelling, because if it is not nice, new, beautiful, then they will be always thinking, oh, this is wrong, oh, this doesn't look like, this doesn't look well, or I need to repair this, I need to repair that. So to avoid those thoughts, the angry temperament needs to stay in a nice dwelling place. That's what the scriptures say. Then the deluded temperament needs to stay in a crowded place. It's a little bit strange. The Buddha says we should be secluded, but that's what the great masters suggest. Probably it helped some people, some meditators. So if the meditator thinks a lot, a lot of daydreaming or a lot of ideas and thoughts, and they do not really meditate because they think and think and think, then it is suggested to stay in a crowded place. So the fact that there are people around may make them a little bit, shameful about the thinking and more careful about what they do, and probably they will meditate therefore. I don't know. That's what they suggest. So that's for the place to stay. Place to go for alms round. Again, it depends on the temperament. So the greedy temperament should have people who do not respect him on the alms round, who are coarse towards him and so on, so that he doesn't get attachment, to the people. The angry person, of course, needs to have nice and kind people who take care of him. And the deluded, that one I don't remember, but I think will be also something like that there will be like hubbub and going to places where there are many people and donate meal to him, so he doesn't get lost in his thoughts. And then the others are not elaborated in this way, but we can elaborate them based on the suttas. So the talk, you need to talk the talk that's suitable, not the talk that's not suitable. So talk about politics or talk about food, but I mean, when it's not important, the idle chatter. So talk about kings and ministers and soldiers, talk about ladies, about men, talk about Ghosts also, again, if it is not important just to lose the time, that is not suitable. Then there are 32 topics like that that are not suitable, but there are 10 topics that are suitable. So 10 topics that are suitable are, to summarize, being satisfied with little, living in solitude, avoiding too much possessions, and then virtue, concentration, wisdom, liberation, and the experience of liberation. Then, so people. So it's good to stay with people who meditate like you do, or again, those that are knowledgeable, who can remove your doubt or your restlessness. Bhojanam, food. So food is very strange. When we get to Visuddhimagga suggests that we eat the food that we like. So if we like, it specifically provides examples. If we like spicy, we should eat spicy. If we like sweet, we should eat sweet. If we like salty, we should eat salty. That's how it's specifically mentioned there. That's very interesting. The Buddha, of course, says that we should not hanker after food. So probably, but that's the same thing with the place to stay and the other things as well. So if you can get the kind of food that, tallies well with your body, then apparently that's a support for your practice. We get even a story that's famous among monks, of Matika Mata, you probably have heard it, where the monks stay three months in a forest. They teach their chief supporter meditation, and she becomes a non-returner. She attains third level of enlightenment at home, and gets also psychic power of telepathy, while these monks are working hard and they get nothing. She gets this third level of enlightenment, her telepathy, and she, through her telepathy, checks the monks and she sees they have nothing. Isn't that amazing? They teach instruction to the lady, she gets non-return, they get nothing. And she's thinking, what can I do for these monks so that they progress? And so she comes to the conclusion that she needs to take care of their food. So she always scans the minds of the monks to find out what they like to eat. Okay, and then whenever she finds out that some monk thinks about some food they want to eat, she prepares that food for the monks. And then, according to the story, after the 3 months, all of them became arahants. So definitely food is very helpful, but again, the Buddha warned the monks that monks should not hanker after the food. So the monks should not chase after the food. It's not suitable, and it's troublesome also for the lay people. Yes, then weather needs to be the one that's comfortable. So if somebody is more comfortable with a hot environment, they need to be there. If somebody is more comfortable with cold environment, they need to be there. And finally, Iriyavata. That's the posture. If somebody is more comfortable meditating in sitting, they should meditate in sitting. For some people, standing, walking, lying down is better. For example, for an old person who's ill, they're better lying down, and therefore they should meditate in lying down. Teachers should not force people to meditate in a posture that's not comfortable for them. I have developed various roles and systems for meditation posture so that I believe every student somehow can follow all of the practices. Because on my meditation retreats, there is a strict rule that every meditator must meditate at least 6 hours a day. They don't have to follow the recommended schedule, but their quota must be fulfilled. And so to make them meditate, say, 6 hours a day and survive, I developed a rather free system of postures, and I explain specifically what are the suitable and unsuitable, helpful, not helpful postures, so the yogis can easily choose what is comfortable. And again, because the sitting and walking posture follow exactly the same method, it really doesn't matter. So if the student wants to do walking 6 hours a day, totally fine. They want to do sitting 6 hours a day, totally fine. Because again, the instruction is one for all of the postures. Therefore, whatever is the posture they spend, is no problem. Very nicely, in lines with this suggestion of Visuddhimagga. So that's how you can deal with your worries about what happened in the past, what happens now in terms of your residence, food, and other things. So if you think, oh, this was unpleasant or this was not tasty and so on, think about it. Was it helpful for your practice? Was it not helpful for your practice? Would there be a better kind of food or better kind of people or better kind of environment for your practice? You need to think about it, and gradually you tweak the 7 so that they're as suitable as possible.